Hey, good morning. I'm Richard Rose. Welcome to Exit 1055 Long Island. This is your TV 1055 show about all things Long Island. In a few moments, we'll introduce you to some of the women heroes of World War II. But we begin this morning with the potential looming crisis over who will care for the 1,000 inmates at the Nassau County Jail in East Meadow. Since 2011, when Nassau County Executive Ed Mangano privatized care at the jail, there have been several controversial inmate deaths that have led to lawsuits against the current private health care provider, Armor Correctional, including a lawsuit settled with the state attorney general that required Armor to pay a big fine and then agree not to provide jail health services to any jail in New York State for the next 3 years. Now their contract will expire in less than 3 weeks, and there is no replacement, with county officials, though, saying if necessary, the health care will revert to the previous provider, the adjacent Nassau University Medical Center, whose managers have yet to publicly agree to assume such care. So what will happen come May 31st? Joining us now to talk about this is the head of the local union that provides workers at both the hospital and some at the jail as well. He is Jerry Laricchiuta from the Civil Service Employees Association 830 CSEA 830. Welcome to the show, Jerry.
Thank you, Richard. It's always a pleasure to be here.
You bet. $1-million question. What will happen come May 31st?
Well, I do believe the Nassau County, the Public Benefit Corporation, and the union are in some kind of talks about bringing the health care back to the hospital where it belongs.
You know, Armor Care, right off the bat, you know, they get very upset when people point out some of the accusations that have been made against them about the allegedly negligent care. They did settle with the Attorney General, but they still to this day insist that they did nothing wrong and provided medical care. And they're out of here come May 31st. You have the county executive, Ed Mangano, even though he wants them out because of all the controversies that's occurred, now saying that since there's nobody in its place, that under their contract, they're required to stick around another 60 days in transition until somebody can be found. Do you agree with that?
Well, not necessarily, but I do believe one or two outcomes are going to happen. Either they will extend it a few weeks at best, or we'll make the transition back to the Healthcare Corporation.
And we'll talk about that, being the Nassau University Medical Center. Well, one of the problems is that Armor is now suing in court saying, wait a second, we settled with the state attorney general, and part of that deal was that we had to get out of here May 31st, and we couldn't provide any health care to any jail in this state for the next 3 years. How do you expect us to stick around when we made a legal agreement with the state attorney general? Do they have a point?
Well, yeah, they have a great argument there. I mean, the Nassau County executive put a complaint in, and the attorney general settled a lawsuit with them, and they had to pay a fine, and the other part of the agreement was do not provide health care to any jails in New York for at least 3.5 years.
So, I mean, that really is really ironic that here a settlement was made to get out of here. Everybody wanted them to go, and now we're telling them to stay.
I asked them not to come in the beginning in 2007.
Well, let's go back to that, because that's true. Back in 2007, you were saying this was a bad idea to privatize the health care. You said that it would lead to dire circumstances. Everybody said, well, you're just protecting your workers over there. And now, how do you feel today?
Did quite a bit of research on that, Richard, and to be quite honest, you know, for-profit health care centers do not work in environments such as jails, especially when you have a price cap. A price cap and health care is like an oxymoron.
Well, you know, the county executive says it saved millions, though.
And did it really? I mean, you know, we're going to be facing tens of millions of dollars in lawsuits as taxpayers and as a county. And quite frankly, the health care provided to the inmate population has gone down quite substantially over the last 7 years.
Yeah, I believe the county's already lost one lawsuit, where $8 million, I believe,
I think they've lost two, but one was substantial, a veteran. And, yeah, he wasn't taken care of and properly, as the allegation goes, and he's suing for $8 million.
Why was it taken away from Nassau University Medical Center? Was it strictly a cost issue?
Yeah, I think there was a little bit of games going on back then. I think you had the hospital overcharging the county. Inmates with broken fingers were getting CAT scans for $20,000, and things were going back and forth. The cost was overboard. However, we said we'd work with the county and the hospital back then, and we'll continue to. The union will continue to do whatever we can do to make it less costly but more effective.
Now, if that did happen, are there sufficient workers over at the hospital and the jail to handle that?
No, it's one of the problems right now. Now, there are a lot of our former nurses that worked for the healthcare, that work for Armor, that want to come back. And there are some nurses and medical staff at the Healthcare Corporation that are willing to go back to the jail. So out of the 100 or 125 they need, they probably need to hire another 50 or 60.
You know, Nassau University Medical Center is in an unusual situation. Years ago, there was another deal that was controversial where they became this public corporation, and the county agreed to back their large amount of bonds of debt that are still outstanding. Now the county executive is saying it's as a part of that, and as a public hospital that is mandated to treat the indigent, you have to take over this. Do you agree with that, that they really kind of are in a mandated...
I think they do. I think as a public benefit corporation, they are an extension of the county. And the county is mandated by law to care, custody, control of inmates.
Well, but part of what turned them into a public corporation was that somehow they would get on a footing where they wouldn't be losing money, because public hospitals lose money. We know that. They have to take everybody who comes in. And they're trying to put themselves on an equal footing with people like Northwell Health and the very competitive marketplace out there. Does this kind of conflict with going back to taking inmates from the jail when they're trying to create that new image for themselves?
Excuse me, Rich, I have a little cough today.
It's going around. Don't worry about it. I mean, is that a problem for NUMC? Because they are trying to rebrand themselves in many ways.
They're trying to rebrand themselves. We have a great medical staff there, a fantastic emergency room. So we are well-equipped, well-staffed. We give out great care. People don't even realize just how good that hospital is. It's a great hospital.
Yeah, I think people do agree they do a good job, especially when they are under this mandate to have to take in folks who don't have any money to pay for their health care.
And that's a problem.
How come we haven't been able to find anybody besides Armour, though? Is it just, there was one company from Tennessee, but then there were problems with that company as well, and they wanted more money. How come we haven't been able to find anyone else?
Well, you can't provide health care with a cap. An $11 million cap on the cost of health care is not going to work, and proven by this contract with Armour.
Yeah, the company wanted $3 million more, the one that they were talking to instead, that they eventually said no to. Well, the clock is ticking, and Jerry Laricchiuta, we're going to get you some water, and I know the allergy season is here, but you're going to be dealing with this with CSEA 830. We'll be watching what happens. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.